Hello, Gabriel, and welcome to your deck review. For those of you joining us for the first time on YouTube, this is a series where I, Maldhound, normally a short form hater of commanders, will lovingly and patiently review your commander deck and its weird little PP. Your PP being your premise and your practicum. Your premise is the idea behind your deck. For this deck, I wanted to make a commander deck for each of the transforming Transformers from the Transformers set. That was very transformative to Magic as a whole. And the practicum is the 99. So stuff you put in the deck, which for this deck is mostly tokens. Now, the concerns we have for this deck is it's a bit boring and a bit weak. We wanted to do token shit out, steal a lot of stuff with Soundwave, do something big and crazy and over the top, and instead we just kind of hit people with 1/1s until they get mad, but we have a very difficult time finding a winning line because we don't want to use things like Moonshaker. So what can we do to make this win con a little bit more interesting, a little bit more interactive, while still playing into Soundwave? My first thought, we shouldn't be doing tokens. Which I realize cuts most of the deck. But the thing is, I think what you have skipped over, and it's natural that you would skip this over because so many commanders, especially modern commanders, are built with commander in mind, and so they're built to lead a deck where you can just kind of like spam their text box and everything is going to be okay. But the first step of building a commander deck should always be to look at your desired commander and go, if I spam this text box over and over and over, will that win me the game? 99% of the time, yeah, somehow. Soundwave, no. We have a combat damage trigger for creature tokens, but we only get to steal something with mana value equal to the damage we dealt. That is crazy restrictive. If it was equal to or less than, I'd be rocking with it. We would be doing like medium power token army, bang, 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 good, good, good. But like Bitter Blossoms tokens, we can only steal 1 mana spells. We can basically never steal any expensive over-the-top spells because it requires us to get a token to like 6 mana value, 8 mana value, whatever it is. And so I simply do not believe in do this text box as much as possible as the path to victory. And I think we should instead be looking for a plan in the 99 that Soundwave can help with and be a very important part of, and even be critical too. But we should not be word clouding, okay, commander text box care about creature token, we should do as many creature token as possible. I like where your head's at with the mill. Notably, the backside of Soundwave also gives us a built-in way to make a 3/3 creature token with Menace and Death Touch, and a 2/2 creature token with Flying and Hexproof. So with no other tokens being made, Soundwave by himself can cover, I want to steal 2 CMC spells, and I want to steal 3 CMC spells. That hits a lot of ramp from the green player. It hits a lot of removal from multiple decks. It hits a decent amount of low grade card draw. So there's stuff there. I would maybe be keeping like a way to make 1/1s to steal swords to plowshares, but I would be wanting to make evasive 1/1s. So like Dreadhorde Evasion I wouldn't care about. Adeline I wouldn't care about. Ajani I wouldn't care about. Anointed Procession I wouldn't care about. Like we don't want a lot. Like how many great 1 mana instants and sorceries could possibly be kicking around at one table, right? So there's just no need to try to double dip or triple dip on this trigger because you probably only have one person you want to rob in the first place. So when we think about plans that we could have where Soundwave would matter, we could lean into the feeling of, ooh, I would like this to be theft, and we could put in a bunch of other theft stuff. That would be fun for me because I love stealing and taking things. It would still likely feel a little bit confused, feel a little bit clunky because Soundwave doesn't really help you steal anything. He's just in Esper that has good colors for it. I think what would work the best, keeping in mind Soundwave is very weak, I think what would work the best would be to be extremely heavy on mill, because the difficulty mill has is how do I control the tape? Like, how do I stop somebody from winning with 20 cards left in library? That's normally the hell dimension for a mill player is, okay, mill is kind of happening, but they've removed my Bruvac. They've removed the best mill piece, or they've countered the best mill spell that was going to win me the game. And now they have Galta, and they have assembled their Factorio engine. But unlike my Factorio engine, their Factorio engine inserts their factory into my ass and I die. And that's where Soundwave and like Laserbeak can come in. And if we've milled them a ton, we are going to have a way bigger buffet of spells we can steal from. It's way more likely removal or protective stuff will be in somebody's graveyard, and then we can go out and steal that. I'm not sure what instant or sorcery that's protective we could steal on our turn to protect us on somebody else's turn, but pretend that made sense. There's definitely removal we can steal, if nothing else. There's definitely removal we can steal, and I would be going, what does Soundwave let me spam? What does Soundwave let me get away with? Where can I be greedy? Where can I push the 99 of my deck too far in one direction and have Soundwave bail me out? And I think that is in, you might be able to get away with no card draw, no removal. you, you might be able to play nothing responsible and just mill people. And when you get to the mid to late game and you're like, fuck, I'm out of cards, I can't remove anything, what do? You yell cacaw, and Laserbeak steals, Beast Within. It steals Stock Up, etc., etc. That would still be a really bad deck, but we could try it. And so I would be going up to like 20 or more milk. Yeah, none of this. None of this. You get all of this from other people. And you're going to be like, what? Maldhound, that deck probably doesn't work. It probably doesn't, but when it does, when it does, other people are going to be using removal. You don't even have to mill other people to end up with like a road in their graveyard, right? So I would pick a couple things that can make evasive tokens, because it would be nice. Like, it is a fucking headache and a half to have to cast this motherfucker and then cast an even or odd spell based on the mana value of thing we want to steal. Like, that fucking sucks. So I would be keeping ways to make evasive 1/1s. I would be keeping mill engines, and very good mill engines, since we have not necessarily had this lesson before the class. Mesmeric Orb, incredibly powerful. River Churn Monument. I don't think it's underrated anymore, but there was a time where this was woefully underrated, and people just like did not respect it at all. Sorry, I'm rereading your private to make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah. Most things are underwhelming. We want it to feel okay. So this is why I'm turning away from the tokens. I wanted to feel a different play style than the usual make a billion tokens, pump them with Moonshaker. That won't happen. That just won't. I can give you worse Moonshaker. I can give you worse Moonshaker that takes many, many turns. And this would help a little bit with modulating the power toughness of your tokens so that you could steal stuff along the way. So for everybody watching, I'm taking a slight detour to give them a few recommendations that would help if they did not want to do the complete overhaul. So if you don't want to do the complete overhaul, play Drana. A card like Practiced Offense would be crazy good. Would turn all of your 1/1s into 2/2s. We could flash it back to get them up to 3/3s. Is there any other way? The long and short of it is, okay, that's not true. That's an O tag. The long and short of it is we are doing Craterhoof, or we are doing Craterhoof on layaway. Like you can either buff everything to kill everybody, or you can buff everything like 1+1+1 counter at a time. You could do things that were more like, like unbreakable formation. That'll do it too. That's also protection. Uh, you could do things like Rosy, because Rosy Cotton would help you spread them around, and that way you could like target. Okay, I don't need everybody to be at 3. I don't have a lot of 3 stuff to steal. There's one spell at 5 I really want to take, and so now when I make all these tokens, I will get one thing up to 5. Um, Agatha's Soul Cauldron could also kind of do that, but I think we're a little bit low on mill to begin with. Guide of Souls would also be really good for this. Again, if you want to stay in the tokens territory, because we're going to make enough creatures to get enough energy to modulate one thing by a specific amount. Props, props. I don't super believe in. I do believe in Brina, because again, if you want to keep the token maker plan, we want as many ways as possible to modify one guy. Don't love Aerith. I mean, Aerith Gainsborough is a good card. Shit, dog. You could even Pip Boy. This dude's clean sucks. Clean sucks for your deck, but you could do it. And other Shatters is just like a good card. I don't think I would necessarily be doing that though. Bane would be very good. Sack a creature, so turn one token into another token going up by 2. That would help you create some much more interesting ladders in terms of what you could steal. I still think like you put all these cards in, I think your deck gets better. I think you are still struggling with the same feeling of like, oh, this is too broad. Maybe I can't get all the pieces I need. Some games I'm drawing, Luminarch Aspirant. Um, I draw Luminarch Aspirant, but like I haven't drawn my good mill cards, uh, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But these would be the tickets for it. I would get some type of way to put 1/1 counters on my board en masse. And then I would get Rosy Cotton, Guide of Souls, Brina, Fane, Luminarch Aspirate, Orzhov Advocist as ways to get 1/1 counters on specific creatures I control, so that you can target your theft a little bit better without it being like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to rob you now, but because I put, 5 1/1 counters on everybody, you're dead. And so the robbery doesn't matter. Um, you do Noble Heritage too. That would also work as another way to put targeted counters on stuff. You could Conformer Shuriken would be crazy math. I would not don't do this math. It's gonna end up bad. So there's what to do if you don't want to do this detour I'm talking about. But the detour I'm talking about would be go crazy heavy on mill. Um, you would actually probably want to include this package in the new version of the deck, because you would want 1/1s and then ways to move the stuff that was already 1/1s or already 2/2s or already 3/3s to being like, oh, is there a crazy 4 spell? Oh, is it big mana player, and did they drop like an 8 mana spell into the graveyard? Um, gosh, the fucking devil, the devil. So they're all good, so it's so difficult to justify cutting any of them. Don't Okay, never mind. Cut this one. Cut Fumigate. Um, if you lean into this weird modified game plan I'm talking about, or even the mill game plan I'm talking about, I would probably do Damning Verdict as my board wipe. Well, not as my one board wipe, but as one of my board wipes. If I was in the business of putting 1/1 counters on all my important creature tokens, I would board wipe things that don't have counters. I like Hour of Reckoning. Um, I hate Phyrexian Rebirth, but it does say token on it. This would likely just be better as Battle of Bywater, because this would be a board wipe that it becomes worse and worse the more we have modified our tokens, but we should always have some number of tokens kicking around that go under the power sweep of Battle of Bywater. So what do we have for draw? Skull Clamp's good. Phyrexian Arena's not very good. I think for this deck, holy shit, Mystic Remorse. What the fuck? What the fuck? I think Esper Sentinel, Marnius, Galgar both good. Esper Sentinel gets a lot better if you begin doing all of this like power modulation stuff. Innocence is fine. Crafter's fine. Yeah, these are all individually fine cards. I think what I would be doing right now, I would be cutting Rise of the Dark Realms, which I hate because I love that card. I would be cutting Grasping Tentacles. I might even be cutting. I think the core problem is we have very few mill payoffs and we have very few ways to mill. I don't really feel comfortable running either of these without the other one being much more sizable, preferably the mill section being more sizable. So within mill, cut dread summons. No, 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 no. That's not good enough. So cut dread summons, cut grasping tentacles, cut. Oh, I love Kitsune's technique actually. I love maddening cacophony. I think Mind Crank would be better as Mesmeric Orb, and I think you should have River Turn Monument. And then that would push up the mill section a little bit without having to be all in on mill. If you like the idea of being all in on mill and then doing just a little bit of theft, keep all these, add the other ones I talked about, go to O-Tag, mill, Commander Esper, add all the other ones. For ramp, I do think you need all this because your commander is like wildly expensive. I think that Johnny kind of sucks. Truly, like even as a token maker. Hold on. O-Tag, repeatable creature tokens, Commander Esper. Like I just can't see my way to thinking one every turn can possibly be, you know, the bottom of the well for us in Esper. We're not casting a lot of artifact spells. Are we casting a lot of creatures? Oh, we don't have a lot of any one subtype. That's very rough. Okay. We're not going to be gaining a lot of life. We're not going to be having a lot of enchantment CTB. I don't think people are going to have more creatures than us very often. We're not drawing an incredible number of cards. Monastery Mentor is kind of interesting. We do have a lot of non-creature spells. Maybe that changes after all the other recommendations I gave you, but I would try Monastery Mentor instead of a Johnny, because Prowess is another way we could potentially chain together. Oh fuck, what do I need? What do I need to be at when I try to rob you this time? And then I saw a tag about evasion, I swear to God. Creature tokens you control have Death Touch. That's solid as both evasion and protection. And yeah, Elspeth Stormslayer is just great for tokens. God, I feel like a maniac for saying this. Even if you keep this version of the deck, I would recommend going much lower on interaction. I think you should try to steal most of your interaction from other people, or most of your single target interaction from other people, and you should instead endeavor to have the interaction you put in this deck be one-sided board wipes and things that hit multiple players. So things that hit multiple players is like Grasp of Fate, Council's Judgment. We talked about Battle of Bywater already. It's gonna be a long time before you get the mana for something like Ingaruk's Wake. I love this card. It's really bad. It's not worth playing, but God, do I love it, and I want other people to love it like I do. Um, so yeah, even though this is like, it's a really big risk. I want to be clear about that. It's a really, really big risk. It's gonna make it much more important that you hit uh, a mill engine early. So I would definitely try to make sure you have like, maybe you keep Mind Crank and you put in Mesmeric Orb and you get River Turn Monument. Because if we're not going to run a lot of single target removal on our own, we need to get it out of somebody else's graveyard just about as quick as we can. You may end up needing to try to find room from an Anthem like Inspiring Leader, um, or cutting from the mill payoff. And it's like the payoff is just going to be, I'm stealing your interaction and my creatures are beating you to death, and I don't go for a big reanimation play. And that's how we find the space to get enough in the, I'm going to mill you, I'm going to make a token, I'm going to modulate that token's power. Or you go all in on mill and Laserbeak just yells cacaw while you frogify and fracture over and over and over to try to keep people from winning the game just long enough for you to River Turn Monument them to death. If anybody else has a different idea for Soundwave Sonic Spy, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I wish you the best, and I do hope this helps.